In this mosaic tips and tricks video, I'm going to show you how to add boring to the back of a cabinet. In this room I have drawn up in this job, I do have a cabinet above my sink that has a width of 42 inches. That is kind of wide for those adjustable shelves, so I would like to add additional support with shelf pin boring for them. I'm going to double click on the product and bring it into the product editor. I'm going to slide the product editor to the right and then select my 2D, 3D view product. I always like to modify cabinets with the viewer open. You can see I have side boring or end boring applied to these adjustable shelves, but I have no boring for additional support for my back. I currently am using a 3/4 inch back in this particular cabinet. So I'm going to go to the Shape tab. I'm going to select the back of the cabinet. Over here on the right, you do have Side Properties type Back. Below it, you have Adjust Side. If I select the Adjust Side, I can then select Bore Shelf Holes. When I select OK, look at there. It adds boring to the actual back of that cabinet. If I select Adjust Side again and select Center, that removes the additional boring lines to the left and right of the center there. Let me go ahead and select Adjust Side again, and I'm going to uncheck the center. That way it populates all the boring for those shelves. If you do go to the Parameters tab, select Product Parameter. In the category boring, you do have a parameter called bore for third row of holes. I currently have it set to yes, and the minimum part width is set to 30 inches. That U-back is wider than 30 inches, so it is going to apply that third row of holes, which would be your center hole. Let me go ahead and select OK and change that to no. And now you can see I'm just boring my left and right sides for this particular shelf. If you do want to make adjustments to these boring locations on the back to get them off the edge of the cabinet a little bit, you will need to go to your Parts tab, double click on the U-back to bring in the editor for the actual part, select Edit Operations. Once the part editor opens up, kind of zoom in on those line bore and just lasso it with your mouse. You can see how it's highlighted. I can right click over one of the operations and then I can select move. This is the Y distance and the horizontal distance is my X distance. I'm going to set that Y distance to a -6 inches. You can see how it moved those boring locations. I'm going to highlight the other boring locations, zoom in, and I'm going to hover my mouse right over an operation and right click and move it, and I'm going to move that Y distance a +6 inches, and then I can select OK and OK again. Now once the viewer comes up, you can see I've got my holes positioned properly for additional support for those adjustable shelves.